Hello, hello. Sorry for being a few minutes late here. Give me 1 second and I'll get started. How you been, David?
Fine, thank you. You?
Yeah, just been very, very busy. So yeah. So all right. Da da da. See the events, sig notes. There we go. All right. Let me share my screen. Mm-mm-mm. All right, cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Let's see, November 4th. Oh, it's been a little bit. All right. All right, please sign yourself in, and then we can get started. Let's see, I think we have the one PR that I think you already approved, David. So, um, let's see. Mm-mm-mm. And then I think Andre just mentioned, oh, Andrea actually needs to approve it. Mm, I don't even know what the script is supposed to do. Let's take a look real quick. Uh, 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 Target schema, base directory, static docs directory, git clone. All right, so tagging, git checkout. So we look for the schemas. All right, we just copy them and we just push the latest schema to a different folder. This does nothing. Like it does nothing with that. Not. Um, I think we don't need to update that script. So I think we're probably, oh, it does right here. But it just does a print on that. I think we're okay still. All right. I just need a comment that we need. So all right. That should be good now. All right. And then once we get that up, Andrea did say he's going to take a look at the spec version renaming this week. So hopefully he's able to do that. I know I said I was going to do it, but I want to give Andrea a little bit of time to actually participate in this. So I'm just leaving a little bit of window here. But yeah, I think we should still be good though, because this will be the only issue is just this versions one, and then I think we could pretty much merge this because if I'm looking at this, all this is doing is looking for particularly the some sort of ID, but putting 6, which I don't know what 6 would be in this case without looking at. All right, I'll figure that out. But I think we're okay there. So I'm not too worried about it. And then another one, so let me say, put this in the action items real quick. Uh, need maintainer approval to merge. Build script looks okay. Let's still need to test. And then we have the definitions PR that's open here. Which has a lot of good comments here. So I did write some feedback or responses to what you had said. And I think this is a really good conversation, especially around this like linting and security scan is a little bit more obvious because we have a security like um like area like artifact signed and whatnot. So I think that can live in a different category. But code linting is a little bit interesting. And what I mean by that, right, is that you could technically linting itself is probably not a test, but can be used in a test. But I'm not 100% sure if I agree with that definition. Like it could
It,
be.
it, it joined my question after, because on a lot of pipeline that I have, I used test, lint, compilation, but
Mhm.
not to build really something. It's just to test that the code is good, the code the code is able to run. But I don't care about the output, the binary, etc. I just care about the result to say, hey, I have something to change to fix some security issue, coding convention, whatever,
Mhm.
or just completion. So it's why I in the after in the sample one and the sample two, I use in the sample one the term completion. I mean, in Rust, by example, so often we compiles name check, but we don't link the
The
different
build.
line,
Yeah, yeah.
and we don't have an output, but we check. But it's part of the compilation, and
Mhm.
often we linked also to validate that it's okay. But it's like having a test um, like for an interpreted language, Python, JavaScript, they use linter like we use compiler in Go, Rust, etc. to validate some stuff, but maybe not. They don't care about the output. It's why I asked this question, and it's also when I ask the bigger flow about, and I run and I deploy on a ephemeral environment just to be able to run it and
Mhm.
to test it. But at the end of the pipeline, except the report, nothing exists.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's fine, right? That still fits the test definition, I think. Right? Or does
Yeah,
it not?
it's what for me it matches the test definition and not the build. But we used internally we use the build command, but we build nothing because um, when we build something, we should be able to say, "Hey, I build this," and you can look at it. But in fact, because it was ephemeral, purely temporal, it doesn't exist after the job ends.
But
I,
that's still fine, right? Because it doesn't say whether or not the artifact is actually stored anywhere. It could be ephemeral, right? I think that's still okay. So you could build and then throw away the artifact is what I'm getting at.
it just we I asked this question to maybe to we could on this page we could add a section to say in this some kind of query and answer to clarify some point. Say we don't if we build and if there is no push, it's always a build because it's the
Ah, I see.
approach
So you
you
just,
took.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
Okay.
to clarify.
Yeah,
because
yeah, good
else
point.
in 2 months I will go back on this topic
Yeah.
and etc etc,
Okay,
and
let
we will not say,
me
oh yes, it's one PR somewhere, and because we have questions about people that just reading the final documentation at the end,
right, right, right.
all
Let me just
the
make let me capture that. So
yes,
let's
just
understand.
capture the query and answer and say currently it's an opinionated point of view. It could change in the future, but currently we it's like the discussions that we have before. What the output
Yeah.
and what is the output. In this case, you focus on the process and not on the result of the process. I could say
Yeah.
the
And
intent of the process.
yeah, and I think that's why linting is kind of like special too, because you could consider linting like part of build, right? So it doesn't really fit
Yes.
as like a test. It's kind of like what I think we're on the same page. I just didn't know what you were getting at here. But yeah, I agree. I think linting is linting, but it can be either used in testing or in builds. It's just like another step, right? So,
Yes, but at the difference with why it's like a test, it's because at the end we have just a result, a summary and some logs, but nothing was created like a compiler in that don't do the LinkedIn that doesn't generate the binary, but just compile and show the output. So it is
yeah,
not.
sure. But you could say running a script though falls in that same vein, right? If the script just like has some output, doesn't test anything, it just be like a hello world output. That's just a step, right? It's not like anything more than that. I think linting is kind of in that same area. Well, how about this? I'm still on the fence with this. And I've been thinking about it quite a bit because I can see it go one way or the other. But because it fits in so many, it can fit in either build or test. It makes me think it's its own thing. But let me think about it because when I brought this up with Didisi, he was actually leaning that it was more of a test. And I was like, yeah, but I can actually see that it being its own like category of thing. And maybe even in CD events, we probably don't need this, but we could have like linting events, right? If we really wanted to, but we probably don't need it. But yeah,
I guess we should try to simplify. For me, it's more like a special type of test. And if you remember
but a
the
build is always
the
just a build though. It doesn't
yes,
contain
but
tests.
uh, yes, with the definition you provide for build,
Yeah, yeah.
it's the case. But for linting, I would like to mention a few years, few no, lot of years when TDD, test driven development, start to be popular. One of the goal, it was to mainly for interpreted language, and it was used to lot of samples was to to validate input and output of function, and testing typing, something that is done by compiler in non-interpreted language. So in TDD, you create test to do something that now it done with linter in Python, in JavaScript. Now they use linter to do this kind of test, but in the past it was unit test that was used. So it's why I say linter could be part of the test.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it could be, but I don't know if like either we could say it like this. Either linter is a specific type of test or linting is its own thing that just does a set of commands basically, right? So it's however you want to look at it. And I think rather than getting to get the definition right, we need to think about how what does linting look like in the SDLC, right? So I think that's what you were kind of trying to highlight, right? Well, I mean, you were using the past, but what I was getting at though is like the SDLC was CD event. So if we have linting in sort of like a pipeline, right? Would it be easy? Would it be more beneficial to have it as a test, or would it be more beneficial to have it be more of a like a subject, and it could be tied to basically build or test? So that's kind of like what I'm getting at. Like, what is the most beneficial point of view, or where should we put it where it gives it the most benefits for CD events? Does that make sense, David?
Yes, today in the latest pipeline I created, linting is part of the test phase in my case.
Right, right.
It's test because I lint, I check the format and I run the test. In various, sometimes it's test, lint, it depends of the duration, but or completion, but it's the phase, it's the test phase, the integration that I run as a checking part. I don't split because on Rust at least it takes time,
Yeah, yeah.
etc. We group them into a single task. And we
Yeah,
say,
I mean, you usually do, right? So it's like, I don't know. Okay. So how
but
about
in
this?
JavaScript and Python, we did this, the teams where I work, we did the same. Every time we try to split to have a nice graph in the pipeline, linting just splitting in sub job, I would say, or subtask in independent task. It's nice visually, but it increases the cost and it increases. So we merge them often.
Right, right. Um, okay, so let's see here. What is this considered? Is considered analysis.
Because with linting, if we modify it, we could also enter into another discussion. Is that for some people, the formatter is a special kind of linter. It's a linter with autofix.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think form yeah, so and you could say formatter is actually technically part of build as well. And that's why it's hard to figure out where this should live. Um So one thing that I'm looking at, right? There's this section called they use analysis, um, correctness, robustness, and lively. What if we rename tests to analysis? But analysis is like most people know test is test, not analysis. So it's like a little bit
Yes,
confusing if we call it analysis, but this does a little bit more than just test because test is like about correctness, right? Um, I guess maybe not. You can do this as well.
maybe for test we could
Yeah,
we could
see?
introduce some kind of using tags, and maybe we could say, oh, it's a integration test, or it's a end-to-end test, or it's a lint test. I don't
Hmm.
know.
How about this? Because they give three examples here, right? Which is part of analysis. What we do with this PR, what I'm thinking about. So let's go back here, right? Because I think this actually makes it a little bit more powerful. Is instead of we call it test, right? What we do is we keep this test section, but instead of having it be this, we make it three essentially, right? Then above it, we have analysis. And test is a type of analysis, or I feel like that might be complicating things, but we'll see. And then we have like this other one, right? Like they have like monitoring, right? Is a type of analysis. Oh, whoops. Oh, I got too many tabs open. And then we can have like monitoring, right? And then we could have like um, linting, for example, and then like and others. Would this be better, or do you think this makes it more complicated?
It makes things more complicated. As the purpose is to be an introduction, it will make things more complicated.
But does it help though? Like, is it complicated but helpful, or is it unnecessary complication?
maybe unnecessary because in this case, monitoring is something that is after deployment. It's runtime monitoring.
Right,
So it
right.
could introduce some confusion maybe.
But yeah, it's not meant to be like in order either though. It just so happened to be in order because that's how we think about things. But okay, let's table this, and what it sounds like is like we need to think about it a little bit. So I am gonna open up a Slack discussion with you, David, and then so we'll have it in the CD Events channel, and I'll post my thoughts. I need to think about it a little bit. Because like I said, I was on the fence with this when I was writing that to you, and I couldn't even when I wrote the response, I couldn't really convince myself like 100% that that was correct. Because it's such a unique type of test. It can be a part of build. It's a tool. It's in itself, right? It's like it's hard, right? And then like this is
Yes,
saying, right? It's linting is a part of program analysis, which covers tests, right? But it might not be part of testing itself. Let's see if linting falls under here. No, it doesn't.
but
Okay.
if we have analysis, maybe it could be it could be maybe more clearer in some point. I think live because we also have the discussion about the software build of materials, about the signature. Um,
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
I use another tool. It's part of the same task I described. Its name denied. And the
Hmm.
purpose of this tool is to detect license issue, maybe duplicate duplicate dependency versioning. It's specific to Rust to detect security CVA.
Yeah, and that would be
If we have
security would.
dependency,
Yeah.
yes, so it's part of the analysis. It's not the Rust linter in our case. It's special tools, but
Mhm.
we could have also tools that detect deprecate outdated dependencies, etc. So analysis. If we use analysis as you mentioned, maybe we could open the door to to um, to to have more stuff. And
Yeah,
then
more
yes,
flexibility. Yeah,
more
yeah.
flexibility, exactly, more flexibility, and later people will be able to plug and say, oh, I don't, it's one blob on my project. I don't have the granularity between each step,
Hmm.
but I could say I do all of them. It's part of the same task. Or I can have one one event per per each kind of um, of um, of kind of analysis. So maybe yes, yes, we because all of this tool, the purpose is to generate a report,
Hmm.
a SBOM, a test result, a linter, linter result, completion,
Yeah, yeah.
use the check. Say yes, well, yes, yes. Maybe analysis is a good,
Okay,
could be a
let
better
me.
approach.
Yeah, so I'll add this in the CD events channel with analysis, and I'll throw up some ideas on how we can think about like different ways of, where we can make this work. Like one, maybe we make analysis and have those like subcategories, or we can make tests as the definition of analysis. But the problem with that is when people see tests, they think like unit tests or integration tests. That's why I'm a little hesitant to make tests that because I think it'll be more confusion. But like I said, I'll put up some ideas and then we can discuss it a little bit and then next week we can decide on something and then I'll update the markdown to reflect that. Does that work for you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Let me put this back in here. Da, da, da.
But as mentioned at the beginning by Luke, this document is high level. Is the purpose is to be high level and to not match
Yes.
one to one with subject and verbs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And and it won't, but yeah, we just need The only issue though is that like test right. Well, the whole goal is to like give definition of things, right? But also we want to make sure that the definitions that we're giving, like people can read it and be like, oh, like I understand what they mean by that, or like it comes off as intuitive, right? We don't want to overload test. When people are reading it, like when they look at a security scan, they're like, oh, that's a test, um, or or okay. I'm trying to think through. Okay, so yeah, but what I'm getting at is just like when we use the word test, we just need to make sure that we're not confusing people with a totally different definition or more broad definition. However, like I said, I'll put it in the Slack comments, and we might be able to reuse test as just a more broader definition, right? Um, More as an analysis. We could just say test analysis or test dash analysis, or something like that to kind of like help distinguish the two. Um, and maybe that'll be sufficient. So yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and uh test may need to be a more generic definition, like analysis to add for things like security and linting. Okay, so let's do that for now. Open Slack thread, add discussion. Someone do this. And then, yeah, all right, cool. So I think that should work. All right, so I like that. That's a lot of good feedback. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that later today as well. Okay, so yeah, and then like I said, I'm gonna ping. So the goal is for 0.5 is I'm gonna ping Andrea on Friday, and if he, because I feel like I've given him a pretty good window, and if he is unable to do the versioning PR like by Friday, like I'm just gonna do it because I feel like we've given them plenty of time to get on that. So rather than hold up the release, we can just move forward. So that's gonna be the plan. Um I'll write down here Andrea to have version to be context version to be renamed to spec version due by Friday. Um, Come on. If he, uh, I will ping him on Friday. Enable. Do it.
As a fun fact, I don't know, when I work with AI agent and I ask to create some CDEvent samples, I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
provide them the folder. Often they use spec version in the generated JSON they provide.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Did it work?
No, it doesn't work,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
they generate, and I have to fix manually the sample and the stuff.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay,
No,
okay.
no
Well, at least it did
integration.
something, like got you like halfway there. But okay, cool. So let's close this and then we'll ping Andrea again. And then, all right, so that's pretty much all I had. Was there anything that you had on the agenda that you wanted to talk about, David?
No, just I forgot. Oh, just to mention, I look at the Jenkins CDEvents
Hmm.
plugin, and they mentioned it was 0.3 compatible, but the schema is very different, so I'm not sure if it's really 0.3. I will look at 0.3 because I would like to create some kind of migration tools in the future,
Ah, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
or create another plugin for Jenkins. I work on it.
Mission tool or updated plugin for CD events. Okay, that works. Um, I'll put but unsure.
Yes.
Okay. That works for me. That sounds good. All right. So yeah, let us know, David, what that looks like, and if it's able to be used by with 0.3. If it's unable, then yeah, we'll try to figure out how we can get that in working. You know, whether it needs to be a migration tool or updated, we can work together on that.
From the Jenkins plugin repository I saw, there are not there is no lot of download or used. So
Okay.
if I have to switch, I will use a more popular event plugin and use some webhook to transform, like I did
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Argo CD, GitHub, etc.
yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool. That sounds good then. Yeah, if you don't have anything else, we can close it off. And then, like I said, I'll
Yes.
ping Andre on Friday. I'll open up also the Slack thread on this analysis discussion and to figure out what the best way to handle this is, so we have ways of like having linting, having an appropriate place. CVE security scanning also having an appropriate place as well. So, okay, cool. Does that work for you?
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
awesome. Yep, thank you, David. All right, I'll go ahead and close my screen now, and then yeah, I'll talk to you again in Slack, right?
Okay.
All right,
Yes.
have a good one. All right, bye.
Bye.